They say love wins. I think hate has a pretty strong track record.
Hi, Harvey. Do you want these gourmet jelly beans? I gave up sweets for Lent.
Mr. Rossitano, no unauthorized food.
Don't worry, no food in here, Kenneth. Just a donut box with a mouse in it.
Oh, are the pranksmen going after Lutz again?
Someone say my name?
Hey, what?
Awesome donuts!
Oh!
Good clapping still. Wow, that's fantastic. Very good, dude. I looked at the entire audience clap, and you were very good. Very good, but you were the best. Let's see it again, sir. Just you. Clap. Fucking perfect technique. And what do you got, buddy? Why don't you get the fuck out of here right now?
Please welcome Judah Friedlander, ladies and gentlemen.
Great. We're live now. See, there you go. We're live. How you been doing? Are you used to doing all of this live stuff now from home?
You know, Andres, I'm doing okay. You know, when you're a winner, when you're an athlete, when you're fighting against the government, it all works out.
It all works out for all of us. So, have you been doing? You know, for me right now, like at first I was so reluctant to do stand up in Zoom, and now there's no other way to do it. How do you think about
Well, you know, there are shows outside going on, and there's actually a lot of places in the United States still doing shows indoors. I don't think it's safe to be doing that indoors. I don't think it's responsible. But that's me. You know, if the U.S. had a lot less cases, like a lot of the cases in a lot of the countries in East Asia, or even some of the European countries, or other countries who have a very small amount of cases, I think it can probably be safe. But in the U.S., there's too much of it right now, I think, to be doing shows in person responsibly, certainly indoors.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but yeah, the online shows are great. On Zoom, it works great because as the comedian, I can see and hear the audience members. They can all hear and see me. And so I can do material, and I can even do crowd work. You know, I could be talking to a couple. Like, I can ask you right now.
Yeah.
If you were an audience member, I can ask you what all those photos are on your wall behind you.
Oh.
I can ask you about that.
Yeah, let me show you a little bit. This is just basically
looks like maybe some girlfriends, maybe some vacation trips. What's going on here?
Yeah, something. It's like a hold of adoring me, you know, to remind myself how awesome I am.
Good.
So I have like this picture that I did. I went to NYU, so I did like an event for Venezuela
Hold
there.
it closer. I want to see it.
This one? Yeah, let me see if I can take this
What did
off.
you study in school?
Civil engineering. I'm a civil engineer. Yeah. Nothing fun in it.
No, I appreciate the civil engineers because, you know, that basically implies the rest of the engineers are assholes. You know, you're the only ones who are polite.
We are. We're the best ones, I think.
I agree.
And
so tell me about your show here tonight. Tell me about the show. This is mostly been in Espanol, correct?
Yeah, mostly I do. Yeah, what I've been doing in Spanish, over Twitch is in Spanish.
Espanol.
Exactly, Espanol. And I decided, like, why not? I actually speak really well English, so I might as well. No, I really wanted to
look.
Just, you know,
I think as a comedian, if you're someone who's fluent in more than one language, or even close to fluent, I think it can only help you to do shows in more than one language. I really do. I think creatively, and even just as far as getting your work out to more people, you know, it's great. But I think creatively it's great because, you know, Spanish and English, the sentence structure of the grammar is a little bit different. So I would imagine you have to sometimes place things place
Yeah.
jokes first instead of second, or second instead of first.
Yeah, and in general, like in Spanish, like stand up, it's more there's more of storytelling in general, because like as Spanish speakers, we like people to paint the pictures for us.
Sure.
And in English, I think it's more direct in many ways. So I don't know. I like doing both because it,
Yeah.
like what you're saying, it keeps the juices flowing, and
Yeah.
sometimes you have to adapt
I
to
think,
both.
I would think that, if you're performing in English and then you're performing in Spanish, doing them both language is going to help you in the other language that you're doing it in, no matter which language it is.
Yeah, I've seen myself doing, like when I do Spanish show, doing jokes generally more direct, because I started doing stand up actually in English. I
Yeah.
didn't do it in Spanish up until like 2 years later, and the way that I learned and how I was doing it's more direct, go straight to the joke, and don't like fuck around with the premise a lot. But as someone is saying here on the comments, like we focus a lot in Spanish, we focus a lot on the premise. We have to
Interesting.
paint like a picture for
Sure.
for the
Well,
audience.
even in the U.S., different cities will kind of have general different styles, and even within cities, there'll be different styles. Like if you had to generalize, New York comics and L.A. comics, in general, New York comics. This is in general. There's plenty of
Yeah,
exceptions, but in
yeah.
general, they're a little less physical, and they're a little more verbal and jokes. Where in Los Angeles, they're a little more physical generally,
True.
and kind of less jokes, and they're more animated sometimes.
Like performing, like acting. I
Yeah,
think.
and I think
Yeah.
some of that even has to do with in LA they have bigger stages and bigger rooms.
Well, that's true.
Sometimes
Here's
I
more
think
like
comics
intimate.
feel the need to be a little bigger. Where in New
Yeah.
York, everything's so small, everyone's so close together. You can, so, and then some of it is also, the pace. In
Yeah.
general, New York comics perform at a faster pace than
True.
LA, maybe more than anywhere. Like I find New York audiences generally they're great, but they're also the most impatient. They want laughs constantly.
Yeah.
They're not very patient. Where in LA, you can go to the like mainstream comedy clubs in LA, a comic might not be doing well, and the audience will just sit there and politely watch them. Where in New York, they're going to start yelling at you or
Yeah.
just talking amongst themselves and ignoring you if someone's not doing well. So I think different dynamics create
Yeah.
sort of different styles.
And which one would be like your favorite one? Like, I mean, you basically perform mostly in New York, right? And
I mean, I'm based in New York, but I
Yeah.
tour a lot. And I was actually looking to tour in South America this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as well as Mexico. Yeah, I was going to be doing shows in Mexico and Buenos Aires and Chile and Uruguay. So,
nice.
so one of these days I'll get there, but
Yeah.
not there yet. So, I usually go to Europe. I try to go to Europe twice a year doing shows.
How's the European
I love performing
audience?
internationally. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see like your stand up and basically the crowd work you do, which is amazing. And when I saw it on the show you did for the show that I was producing, I was like amazed by the fact that you were doing crowd work over Zoom, which is something I didn't see before while doing all of these shows. Because I feel the thing at first I was very reluctant to do like comedy over Zoom, stand up over Zoom, because first of all I'm sitting down, and no, but no,
Actually,
but really,
you know what? I'm standing up right now.
Oh, okay.
I actually, I've
You're
never
owning the
owned,
art. Yeah.
I've never owned a microphone before. It wasn't. I've been doing comedy 30 years. Never owned a microphone. Now I have a microphone.
And lights.
And I've never owned a microphone stand. I actually bought a microphone stand. So when I first started doing before I did any Zoom shows,
Yeah.
it was very intimidating because you're like, first of all, I didn't even know it was possible to do a show over the internet. And then I was like, oh, it looks like it's possible. And then I was like, well, technologically, how does this work? How do you perform? And then, so I watched some. And it was a little like when you first start doing comedy. You don't know how to do it. It's kind of like riding a bicycle. Do you read books about it? Do you watch videos of it? Or you just get on the bike and you try it? You fall down, you get back up. So I watched a bunch of shows, and then I just started doing some shows on Zoom on the computer. And my first set, I think, was just a 5 or 7 minute set. I didn't have a microphone. I just used the microphone that's on the laptop, and I wasn't standing. I was just sitting there talking to the screen, and it actually felt really good. And and as the months are going by, I keep tweaking things. So yeah, I actually find standing up to be better. Yeah, it gives me a little more freedom of movement. So I'm actually I'm liking the standing up and doing.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I start doing it standing up and like setting up the camera, the computer, and everything for that, because doing it in sitting down, it feels like you're just basically telling a story. It's not like that rhythm that stand-up has. Like, okay, you're telling a joke, you're moving in a different way.
Yeah, so sometimes I think, it's really simple. You just try to create the same environment that you have when you're performing at a venue, and it's almost like you have to build your own performance venue. It's like
with hecklers including.
Yeah. But it's like, because, when you're a comedian, you're usually, sometimes you are, depending on where you are, but if you're living in a place that already has an established comedy scene, you're not starting your own space. But online, you have to create your own performance venue, basically, and as well as be the performer. Now, if you're in other countries where the stand-up comedy scene's very new, or maybe it doesn't exist, then yeah, you do have to. Even, pre-pandemic, you have to find a location, you have to get microphones, speakers, chairs for the audience, and figure out how you're going to put on a show. Yeah. So, and I think comics that are doing that I think it's fantastic. Comics that are creating their own shows.
Yeah. That's
like in Venezuela. How new is stand-up comedy? Is it something that's pretty new there, or what?
It's it's been there for a while in terms of there were like a couple of comedians who've been doing like this. It is more like a character show, but it was like a one-man show.
Sure.
With jokes but with characters, and then suddenly you change the outfit, and it was more like a show that was
a little more of almost like a theater production.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been like that, but recently I would say like in the last 10 to 15 years, it's becoming to be more of an actual stand-up scene. And it's weird because we don't even have a word for stand-up, like stand-up comedy.
Right.
We
Do you say stand-up?
Yep. Stand-up.
Yeah.
Stand-uperos. It's they call the people who do stand-up like stand-uperos.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's relatively new, and also it hurts a little bit. I mean, the thing, for example, I produce shows here in New York in Spanish sometimes for a Venezuelan audience, and what's been hard, it's because we're not only doing shows for there, but we're introducing the concept of stand-up to some people.
Yeah, I was last year I did shows. Sometimes when I go perform overseas, I'm sometimes, I'm like, I did shows in Portugal last year. And in Portugal, if you're a comedian there, you might get on, and if you're a new comedian, you might get on stage 2 to 3 times a month.
Yeah.
Because there are no comedy clubs there. It's new, it might be 5 years old. So it's tough on one end. Now, a lot of those comics, since they're not performing that much, they actually do a lot of work off stage.
Yeah.
Like, they watch every special. They study it like crazy. Here in the U.S., especially in New York, where under normal circumstances there's a lot of stage time.
Yeah.
Comics don't watch that much because they're always just performing, So, and years ago I lived in LA for a couple years, and I got a lot of stage time there, but not as much as New York. But I spent more time off stage, working on my act and writing.
Yeah, I'm writing.
So there's always ways to work on it. I mean, I think the best is just performing, but there's always ways to work on it. So, and think about it. If you're living in a place where there are no comedy clubs, where there's no scene, like you said, people aren't even really aware of it.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, in a lot of countries, people, not a lot of people know about it. It's like a new thing. It's almost like where rap was in the United States in the late 70s or early 80s, where it was this new thing, and hadn't really taken off, throughout the country. So, but if you're in a situation like that, it's actually incredibly exciting because you are getting the chance to create the scene where you are. Not many people get that chance where they can actually, there's no scene and you can start the scene.
Yeah, yeah. I
think
remember.
it's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, there was I used to live in a city in Venezuela when I went to school there, called Barquisimeto, and a friend of mine who I met there, he was actually starting the scene in there, like I would say 9 years ago. It was the first show ever in stand-up. His name is Ricardo del Búfalo. He's a great comedian, and he was doing the show, and he invited us for his show. And when I saw him, it was like actually the first time I was seeing stand-up live when I saw him. So it was like something that shocked me. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I like this standing up and doing that. I remember when I told my mom that I was starting doing stand-up here. She was like, wait, so like El Conde, which is like a famous old type of comedian there. And I was like, yeah, kinda. And then I explained the concept to her and said, oh, okay. But it was like, okay, it's fine. It's great. But it's been that process of like introducing stand-up to people. But right now, like somebody's saying here in the comments, like right now it's becoming that the comedians are like new rock stars, like the new people who
right.
Yeah, it's becoming
like
that.
No, that's another thing. I mean, sometimes if you're in a place where there's not a big comedy scene, you could have better odds at getting quite a big following. Because there's not, I mean, New York City probably has 1,000 comedians or 2,000 comedians.
Yeah.
Or more than 2,000.
More than that. I think it's it's
might have several thousand comedians. I don't know. So there's a lot, So if you're in a city or country where there's 5 comics, that's kind of interesting.
Because in here it's funny that I mean I've been doing stand up here like almost 3 years, and it's funny because sometimes I've been performing in a place for a while, and then you think every comic because you know everyone there, or like everyone performs there. But then suddenly you get invited to a show in Brooklyn, and you see different type of comics, different type of, even a different stand-up style. And you're like, oh wow, there's more in here. And then you go to each neighborhood. It's like, oh, there's like a scene within the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, no, the comedy business in the U.S. and New York, has just grown so much. Over the past, I mean, especially like the past 20 years, it's grown so much, and it's great, I mean, like you said, there's all different styles, and there might be some comics you may never see because they're in a totally different scene, So. And there's more and more new scenes, which is great, And there's not necessarily one scene that's better than the other scene, I think they all have their, there's a lot of pluses and minuses to the different scenes. Some scenes definitely have more minuses than others, but I think a lot of the new scenes are actually the better of the scenes. And some of the best rooms are the ones that, young comics in their 20s are starting. Those are some of the best rooms and some of the most diverse rooms, which is great.
Yeah, right now I've seen that also there's, well, before the pandemic and everything, more comedians producing their own shows, like not relying only on clubs
No.
or
And
or
I
you
think
know
a
like
lot in the U.S.,
established.
so many of the comedy clubs are so far behind where the general public is. It's almost
No.
it's a little similar to politics in the United States. You know, the so many of the people are way ahead of the politicians who represent the people.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at and especially the younger the people are in general in the U.S., more diverse,
Yeah.
um,
More
more
progressive.
into
Yeah.
human rights,
Yeah.
and with the comedy clubs, it's the same way. So many of them are using the same comics that they've used for decades, and so many of them are, you know, a lot of it's catering to it's a lot of it's just dated kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and then a lot of the comedy clubs, they're not even looking for the best new comics. They just keep using the same people. Now, some
Yeah.
comedy clubs, that's not true. They are always looking for new people, but yeah, a lot of times you can be on a show out in Brooklyn, and the show might be free, and they have a better lineup
Yeah.
than a show in Manhattan at a comedy club. That's $20 to get in.
That's true. There's a show, a friend of mine, he produces here in Bushwick, in Cobra Club, a random bar in Bushwick, and it's like a local place. And every Friday, I've done his show, and suddenly, like, it's a great lineup, like writers from all over the shows, and they have like specials, or
Yeah.
and suddenly they're there, and it's just like $5 donation.
Yeah, and a lot of those shows out in Brooklyn, they don't get tourists. They actually get
No.
people who live in
Yeah.
New York. So many of the comedy clubs in New York are some of them are really like 100% tourist traps
Yeah.
where they're only getting tourists. They
Yeah.
don't get repeat audience. They don't get people who live in the city or the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And a lot of these Brooklyn rooms get people who actually live there in that neighborhood coming out.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Have
it's good.
have you performed like in recently in Brooklyn in general? Like
Yeah,
in have
I
you
usually
been?
get out to shows, pre-pandemic in Brooklyn, probably once or twice a week,
Oh, nice.
to different rooms that are run by comics. It's
Yeah,
usually some separate room in the back of a bar or something.
exactly. Yeah.
They're usually very good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And have you felt like the? I think it's what you're saying, because in Brooklyn it's basically just local people, but the audience is different, because I performed in this show that my friends does, and he actually do, yeah, he does two, one on Wednesdays in Dromedary Club here in Bushwick too, and another one on Fridays. But yeah, and it feels different. Like it feels like the audience in Manhattan, it's, yeah, they're more tourists, but are like more polite in a way. Like in
Uh-huh.
Bushwick, they tell you right away if they don't like you, or if
Gotcha.
you
Yeah,
know.
well,
I feel that.
even in Brooklyn, I've noticed, the shows are very different depending on where you are and depending on who's going
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
A lot of the Brooklyn shows have kind of an upscale kind of demographic, kind of a well-educated demographic.
yeah,
Um, and like very polite but kind of stiff,
yeah,
kind of judgy, where in Manhattan they're usually they can be a little rowdier,
yeah,
sometimes are a little dumber, but it can go either way. But then there's other Brooklyn rooms, that cater to much more of a working class kind of vibe, that are those audiences can be rowdier than Manhattan audiences
yeah,
at comedy clubs. They're the opposite of a stiff crowd. They're
yeah,
they're ready to party.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
so
remember.
there's
Yeah,
there's really so many different kinds. And a lot of it breaks down. Um, different
yeah,
cultures amongst so many people. And,
yeah,
and within so many different groups. So it's there's a big variety, which is great.
yeah. Yeah, and well, also what, going back to the Zoom shows, what I liked of doing that right now is that not only, well, it's just basically stage time, and that's what we need as comedians. We need
Yeah.
to practice and try
Yeah.
the material, and but what I've liked so far is that you connect with people who you never thought about connecting. Like, for example, I connected with a lot of Venezuelan comedians, which
I'm sorry, a lot of who from where?
Venezuelans,
Oh,
Venezuelan, because
Venezuela. Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
I started doing comedy here, so I didn't know that much about the scene over
Sure.
there. And but doing all of these shows, and I've been producing all of this and doing a lot of some shows.
Yeah, because there's not a big time difference between New York
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Venezuela. What is it, an hour or
It's
something?
right now it's the same time. It's like
The
the
same.
same.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
same.
So it's great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did some shows. I've been producing my own shows. I do other people's shows that they produce, but
Okay.
now I also produce my own shows, and I'm trying to do at least one or two a week, sometimes more. And yeah, I'll get people at one show. I'll get people from the U.S. I'll get people from South America, Mexico, Europe, Asia, the Middle East.
Wow.
It's great,
Yeah.
So, and I've even been doing some shows early in the day. Once in a while, like last week. No, it was on Monday. I did a show at 3 p.m. New York time because that was 8 p.m. in the UK and 9 p.m. through most of Europe. So I was trying to get and it was a mostly European crowd.
Nice.
So it's cool. You can, I mean, being in a pandemic sucks.
Yeah.
But if you look at generations that have been in pandemics, I think we're the first one to be in a pandemic with internet,
Yeah.
So we're actually lucky, I mean, we can do so much. Imagine if there was no internet and we were having
Oh
this
my God.
pandemic. It'd be a different world. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's still a different world, but it's the internet really opens up the world. So it's fantastic. Yeah, that show I did of yours a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, most of the crowd was from Venezuela.
From
It was
Venezuela.
awesome. That was a great show, great crowd. And one of the things I love about performing to international audiences, I find that in general, they have a better and more educated view of the world than so many people in the United States. The U.S. is, it's a very narcissistic country and very insular, and some of that is the fact that we're a big country.
Yeah.
And unless you live on the border, you're not close to the two other countries
Yes.
that are right near us. And then the other thing is that unfortunately the country, between the way we're brought up from the media and from schools, is we're taught to only the U.S. is taught only to think about the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's actually been one of the biggest changes in just the last few years, and it keeps increasing, is that more and more people in the U.S. are starting to think internationally, and not just nationally. So that's good, but it still has a long way to go.
Yeah, but yeah, I get it. I mean, I understand that because, like, coming from Venezuela, I moved here when I was 26, like 6 years ago. Well, not 25. And growing up there, you don't only learn about what's happening in your country, but also, like, normally, like, it's you get the news from the U.S., you get shows from the U.S. So that way, I think that's why we're not only aware of what's happening in our region, like Venezuela, Latin America, or Europe, but also we're aware of what's happening in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that helps, in a way, connect with American comics, because whatever they talk in the reality they're expressing, it's basically we know about it, and
Right.
we've learned about it.
Yeah.
Growing up, with all this information from not only our country but the U.S. That's why I think it's great, and also we have access to all of the shows and everything in the culture from the U.S. We learn from that, which in here I think, yeah, you're right. It's getting better. It's getting there, but it's not ready yet. Like, people, like, sometimes I tell people, yeah, I'm from Venezuela. Like, oh, is it an island or
Yeah,
what?
they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's no, I hear you, dude. It's yeah, that's the other thing, is that, and a lot of Americans don't realize that, is that so many Americans know nothing about other countries,
Yeah.
but other countries know a lot about America.
Yeah.
And part of that is, I mean, I do a bit on this, is that we one of our main exports is entertainment. So all over the world, our entertainment goes out there. And then unfortunately, our other main export, and probably our main one, is war. And that's the other reason why everyone knows it. We're
Yeah.
arguably the most dangerous country on the planet. So, but we don't view us that way. Most
No.
Americans don't view us that way, but other countries do.
Yeah.
So it's that's a key thing that most people miss in the U.S. But because of that, people pay attention to what's going on there because it's a powerful country and often a very dangerous country for other countries.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to talk about your special, the one you did, and I believe you're preparing something with Zoom, right? You want to.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna do. I mean, I think I have over an hour of new material that's since the lockdown of the pandemic. So I'm just gonna put one out that's literally I'm just gonna cut together some clips from Zoom and put out an hour or longer thing. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Which is completely worth it. Like honestly, I from the show that I produced that you were there, and I was saying it. You did 47 minutes basically of new material, and if anyone wants to buy it, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
It's great.
No, I'm gonna.
No, but it was great.
I might put out. I mean, I'll ask you and stuff, but I might put out. Some at least some clips from that, and who knows, some of that I might put in the thing. I gotta sit down and do some editing, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna be putting something out.
Because I the way I've seen, well, the special you have already, and like I've seen that at least 5 times because it's
the one
of
that's
my
on
favorites.
Netflix.
Yeah,
right.
America is the
America is the greatest country
of the
in the United States.
In the United States, exactly.
Number
one. And I like the format because it's not a regular stand-up show or like cameras out, camera shots there. That it's more like, it feels more real. It feels like it was recorded by the audience in a way.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was going for. I really don't like the way most specials are filmed. To me, stand-up comedy is a small venue art form. You don't want to go to a stadium to see stand-up comedy. It's more like jazz. It's intimate, and it's very simple and it's very raw. Sometimes I'm shocked with all the technology we have today in the world. I'm shocked stand-up comedy exists because it's a very low-tech form of entertainment. I mean, you look at music today.
Yeah.
Popular. You look at movies and TV shows that are popular, all big productions.
Yes.
Stand-up is this,
yes,
and then the audience has ears. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
And there's a speaker to the mic is connected to a speaker that goes out there. That's it. It's so simple. It's like hard. It's hard to believe that I mean, technology-wise, it's archaic. It's hard to imagine that it actually exists.
Yeah.
That would be like if the number one music group in the world was just one person playing piano and not even singing, and that was it. It's like so. So I filmed it in a very simple way, and I wanted it to feel like you just walked into some little dark room late at night, and there's like 20 other people there, and you're just sitting among them. That's what I want it to feel like. So
yeah, and it does. That's what I feel like. It would be very interesting to see the Zoom one because it's becoming the new way of seeing comedy, and I feel that even when everything at some point goes back to normal, we're still gonna have some shows. I think that's gonna
I'm
stay.
still gonna do some, definitely, because it's a way where especially for reaching people that aren't in the same city as you, it's great, and it works. It's not perfect, but it works.
Exactly, and some friends were like, oh my god, it's hard to do it over Zoom. I don't like it. It feels weird. And I was like, yeah, it feels, but it like you said, it be like the more you do it, the better you will get what people like, what people don't, what
right. And then some people, if they don't if some performers don't like doing it, that's
Yeah.
okay. You know, it's like, it's everyone's different, but for me, I love it. I think it, and the audiences have been having a great time. They love it. It when it's done right, it works.
Yeah.
It really does. So yeah, I think we're lucky to have the internet.
Yeah, definitely. And
If there was no lockdown, I mean, it'd be a lot harder. It'd be.
And what I find crazy is like this technology was before. It's not like, oh, it was invented for the pandemic. Like we had Zoom for a while. We just now realizing we're using it. And I like your.
Yeah, and it's probably, I would bet in a year, even less, the technology is going to get even better.
Yeah.
It's gonna. I was looking at this. I did a podcast that was on some website called Zencaster.
Oh.
And this was just audio. It was perfect audio. Like you didn't have to use a mic. You just used the mic that's built into the laptop.
Oh.
It sounded better than on a landline phone, and there was no lag or delay at all. It was perfect. And they have a beta video. They're working on a beta video now. So I'm like, if their video is good as their audio, it's like it's ridiculous. It's like perfect. So.
No, and there's actually, I was talking with a friend who produces a lot of shows over Twitch, that there's a technology that they're trying to use now to, for example, like silence the noises in the background for the people that's in the audience, and only allow the laugh. Which is great for heckling.
Right. No,
but yeah, it's like
it's probably just going to get better, or
it's like it filters out the noise and leave.
But you also, whoever's designing the things, they have to be careful because they don't want to overdo it,
Yeah.
Because then if they filter out that stuff, if you want the audience to ask you questions, then maybe that won't work.
Yeah.
So sometimes they do too much with technology.
Yeah.
But
like the virtual backgrounds, I like yours.
This is real background. This is real background. Yeah.
Wait,
that's the thing. I'm old school. I try to keep it just as basic as possible. Yeah, this is real.
Nice. I mean, I knew it was real. I thought it was just like cardboard, but it's stick to a wall.
It's cardboard all taped together. Yeah. Just a bunch. Yeah.
Nice. I always start, when I started doing this, I started using the virtual background.
Yeah.
Then I realized something gets lost with that.
Yeah. I think it's better to keep it more real.
Yeah. I agree with you, and that's why I started doing it.
It adds an extra distraction.
Yeah. That's a layer of distraction that you don't need, especially in there.
But like I said, you just it's new, so you just figure these things out as you go. So. And then you get used to stuff, you get used to it, So, like it took me a while to get used to, I'm so used to, from doing shows at venues, I'm so used to talking to the microphone, and you hear the power of the mic and the speakers, but on Zoom you don't.
You get that,
It's like there's no mic, But now I'm used to that. I that used to feel so weird. I'm like, the mic is off because it sounds like. When you talk into it, it sounds like it's off, and you're like, "What's going on?" And the mic isn't working.
You get like your feedback. Yeah.
You can't hear it working, but it's working. So that used to be really distracting to me, and now I'm totally used to it. So
yes,
like I said, you adapt.
Yeah.
And even if we had no internet, if you really wanted to do stand up in a pandemic, you'd find a way to do it.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking.
I would get. I'd buy a speaker and. I'd perform to my parents, or I'd perform to nobody and just film it. You can always find a way to do something. So
no, but I was actually thinking, since there's a lot of venues that have some areas open, I was like, okay, I think in a way, like everyone's social distancing, only like 10 people. It would work in like somebody's rooftop or something.
In Brooklyn, they've been doing some rooftop shows on buildings. And they've been doing shows out in the suburbs. They've been doing shows in people's backyards or out in the park. So there's ways to do it. You just got to make sure that, because I've just seen I've seen, photos of some outdoor shows where it looks like they're being pretty safe, and I've
Yeah.
seen others where it looks like they're
No.
not
Yeah.
being safe enough.
Yeah.
I see nobody has their masks on. Audience is sitting real close. I
Yes.
saw one where the comic was holding the microphone, and it was actually touching his beard. It's like laying on his
Oh.
beard, and I'm like, that's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So it's, if it's done right, I think it can be safe. But
Yeah.
I think some of them are not really being done safely. So
Yeah, and even something that I also was thinking, because I don't know, I like performing a lot. I like stand up. It's one of I think it's my favorite part of doing comedy in general, and but I like the producing part of it as well. So I've been thinking, I think when everything goes back to normal, we'll do some type of mix shows. Like suddenly you have an audience there, there's people performing, but suddenly you're gonna have like a projection of someone who's in Australia doing stand up to you,
that's
something
a
like
cool
that.
idea. I did a show. It hasn't happened yet, but I did a Zoom show that came out of Holland. I did a
Okay.
comedy club in Holland last year, and they were putting on shows on Zoom. And then they actually brought up the idea, because they've now reopened,
Oh,
about having
okay.
me perform here, and then they'll broadcast it on a TV to real people in the audience.
Yeah.
Now, they
Wow.
haven't done it yet, but it's just an idea. I don't know if
Yes.
they're going to do it. They brought that up a while ago, but they haven't come back with it. So, but yeah, I can see that stuff happening, where it's a mix,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's gonna be and it's something like, again, this connection of people who's in different places in different
Yeah.
areas, and you'll have access to watch someone live
Yeah.
in which have to be live. Like I've seen some shows but like comedy, not just stand up, that people just put videos streamed, and I'm like, yeah, it's not. I like the live thing. I like to see
Sure.
someone who's
Oh
like
yeah.
talking and interacting with me, which is what I like to like and love a lot from the show that you did. Your set is like you do crowd work, which
Oh, I
is,
do a lot. Yeah.
yeah, which is amazing in this format, and people react stupendly with it. Like
Oh,
it's
thanks, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think crowd work works really well. It's a little different, but it
Yeah.
still works. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how, like, what's your favorite? Well, before pandemic, what was your favorite venue to perform in the U.S.? Like,
I don't have a
you didn't
favorite.
have a favorite, do you?
No, there's no favorite. The Comedy Cellar, they have 3 rooms.
Yeah.
That's the place I do the most, and it's great. But I don't know if I have a favorite.
Okay.
It really depends. But um, yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite. There's a lot of bad rooms in the U.S.
Yeah.
too, but there's a lot of good ones too.
And how has been well, you do a lot of crowd work. We're talking about that, and with people from different places, like, and well, it adapts. I believe your set adapts to different areas because people know. But has it been weird in a way when you ask something and people is like not, how's been like the audience in general from other parts of the
Yeah,
US?
no, most are good. I mean, sometimes you get in a place where it's not a good audience, or it's
And
an
have you been
audience.
heckled
Oh, of
during
course, yeah. I mean, all
like
kinds of
during
things.
Zoom?
Sure. During Zoom, yeah, a little bit, I guess. Yeah, but usually it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But at venues, it's you know, every place can be a little different. Sometimes you might be, like I've done some gigs in the Midwest where it's just a little weird because sometimes you'll be in a city and everyone knows each other in the audience and they all work at the same factory in town. So
Okay.
it's totally a different dynamic. So if you're doing crowd work there, everyone's gonna have the same answer, like
Yeah.
everyone's in the same business. So, and then sometimes if they're all in the same business, they don't want to talk about it because they know someone else in the audience might know
Oh, you know
them,
what I'm.
and they're afraid of getting in trouble. So it can be weird. So some places they're like things come up where you're like, oh, all right, if you're gonna do crowd work, don't ask them anything about their job or personal because they don't want to fucking say anything.
Yeah.
So every place can be And then if they all know each other, that can be weird, because if you start ripping on someone who's sort of like, the alpha male of the fucking town, you're shitting on them, that
People
guy's
get like,
gonna,
ooh,
you're challenging that guy's whole life,
Yeah.
You thought you were just goofing around, and so it can be weird, so, but, yeah, I tell you, Sweden is a country, I've done shows there that have incredible audiences.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, their English is perfect. They speak better English than 70% of Americans, and I'm including Americans who were born in America. Their English is perfect, and they kind of have a perfect mix of, because some audiences are super well behaved, but they've like no energy. They're just flat. They're just like, they don't laugh much. They'll have a great time, but you'd never know it by looking at them.
If it's
because they're just naturally just really quiet people. So. And then there are some audiences that love you, but they're a little too drunk and rowdy. It's like, all right, guys, I need you to shut up a little bit.
Yeah.
Sweden is almost like the perfect mix.
Oh,
it's like they're really well behaved, really well educated, and they have good energy, but not too rowdy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like when I've done shows there. Not all of them. Believe me, I had one show there. They were a little too fucked up and drunk and rowdy. But most of the shows I've done there, I'm like, wow, this is like kind of a perfect audience, So, yeah. So like like I said, every place is, got their own little differences, and like some of the Brooklyn rooms I don't like because they're kind of too cool for school. They're like.
The ones that don't clap, but like
or they're just they have to check in their little book if what you said was the correct thing.
Yeah.
Because they can't think for themselves, and they're just laughing at what they think is supposed to be cool. So some of those audiences can be a real pain in the ass. And a lot of times they're not even well educated. They're not well educated at all. Like if you're giving them something new, they don't know how to react because they don't actually lead an honest life. They're just always looking
following for
or reading things about how they're supposed to react to something. And they don't have a natural reaction to anything. So if you give them something new that they haven't read about, they don't know how to process it or react to it because they haven't been told how to react to that because they haven't seen it yet. So so those audiences can be really frustrating because it's like they think they're open-minded but they're closed-minded, and they think they're educated and they're not.
Yeah.
They think they're smart and they're not, I mean, so it really varies,
I've had some. I remember one time there's this cafe where I used to live. It's closed. It was nearby, and suddenly one day I saw people going to the basement. I was like, "What's weird?" And then, oh no, this is a comedy show, like in Brooklyn, Bushwick, just only people, like it was like 20, 30 people, and I was like, "Oh, let me see it," and I was like, "Wow, we were laughing at different pace." You know what I mean? Like the joke was so in a way, and I thought the punchline was one thing, and they thought it was another thing, and they were actually laughing. They were like, "Oh, wow, interesting." I was like, "This is so weird," but it was interesting.
And I've been at some shows where, like some of the audience, you don't know it, but they actually know some of the performers, and they'll just be gushing over everything they say, whether it's good or not. And then if there's a comic going on who they haven't seen before, it's like they haven't been approved as part of their cool clique.
Oh,
they're not going to laugh at anything they do because they don't know that they're the cool ones.
Yeah.
So they're just like everything they do is just based off on what they think is cool. So so those audiences are terrible, and it can be tricky as a comic because you might think, oh wow, these people are cool and hip. They must know what's good, and no, they don't actually.
They don't. Yeah.
And so that can be, and then on the opposite angle, you can be at places where the audiences or towns or places where the audiences, they're all bigots, they're all racists and sexists, and and deal with one comic going up doing racist and sexist stuff, and they're killing. The audience is just loving it. And then you could go on and do some good stuff, but they fucking hate it. They do nothing. And then you might think, oh wow, I guess
I have
just
to
had
be
an off
racist for
night.
this.
It's like no, the audience can suck.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm someone who tries to never blame the audience, but yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes there are bad audiences or bad audience members. You know, and yeah, sometimes there's bad comics. You know, so
Yeah.
it's not one or the other. You know,
Yeah.
it's usually some kind of a mix.
That makes
you
the
know.
both.
But that being said, you know, you should also theoretically you should be able to, like, to be a great comic, you should be able to go up there and any demographic of people, you should be able to be so funny they're still gonna be
anyone-
laughing.
Yeah.
Even if there's someone who disagrees with you on so many things, you know, so that can be its own challenge, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as a comic, you don't want to pander to people. You know, if there's a bunch of racists and bigots in the audience, you don't want to win them over by doing racist and bigoted
No,
shit.
yeah.
You know, you want to, your goal is to try to get them laugh from not doing any bigoted shit, you know, or doing anti-bigoted shit, and you're getting the bigots to laugh at it, you know. So theoretically, you can be that funny where you can get people who don't believe in any of the morals that are behind your material, and they're still laughing, you know.
Yes, because
theoretically, you know, but that's not easy, and you know, it's not always possible.
Yeah.
But you know, so anyways, it's
yeah.
you know,
Like how I see it, it relies a lot on the point of view. I think people, if you have a funny point of view, no matter your belief, people will laugh. And right now I'm in the stage, and you know, I've only been doing this for almost 3 years, and I say almost like 2 and 9 months.
Right.
And I'm in a stage where I just want to get better, you know, like
Sure.
I don't care about,
dude, same
like,
here.
anything.
That's all I'm
Get
always
better.
trying to do.
Yeah,
Just get better. You know, get funnier and get better. You know,
Get funnier, get better. Yeah.
You know, you can. It's something. You know, I mean, if you look at comedy as an art, it's something where you can just always be growing. You know, seriously. You know.
Yes.
And, you know, and if you look at the internet and Zoom comedy, I mean, that's a challenge. You know,
Yeah.
so it's an exciting challenge. You know, and but yeah, I think it totally works. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I like doing the Zoom shows. Of course, I prefer doing stuff in stage. That's my That's you know, that's ideally that's the best. But at least you keep updated. You can try stuff that you can only do over Zoom. You know what I mean? Like
that too. Yeah, it's its own medium. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. And there's jokes. There's bits that you can only do there. And again, be you know, evolving and you know, grow, you know, going from there and getting better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judah. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, man.
I cannot.
Yeah, if anyone wants to
enough.
follow me, it's there's my thing. It's on there. It's Judah World Champ on Twitter, Instagram, and I want to let you know, people know I'm doing shows tomorrow. 9 p.m. New York time on Zoom. You can watch it worldwide.
Right.
Tickets are as cheap as $1. You know, you can pay $1 and see the show. And then I'm doing another one this Sunday night at 9 p.m. and it's also as cheap as $1. So yeah, check my Twitter or Instagram for any show info, because I'm doing shows every week. So
yeah, nice. And again, I haven't like brought it up like to people in general. I haven't announced it yet, but I'm putting together this type of festival, comedy festival type of things. I want to connect with comedians from all over the world. That's why I'm doing it half in English, half in Spanish.
Great. Well, you know what? I barely know Spanish at all. My Espanol is, I told you, it's mi poquito y malo, mi Espanol. Very bad, but I'm going to try to do a little bit of stuff in Espanol. So.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
That
actually
would be
doing a
cool.
little set this Saturday on a Zoom
Oh, really?
show. Yeah, it's coming out of Argentina, and I'm going to try to do a couple jokes in Espanol.
Ooh, I want to see that.
Yeah.
It's
It's Saturday, I think around Tato Broda, you know him? He's out of
Yeah.
Buenos Aires.
Okay. What's his name? Sorry.
Tato,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Broda.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I've seen him.
Yeah, he's a popular comic out of
Yeah.
Argentina. Yeah, he's doing a show. I think it's on the StreamYard or Twitch or something on Saturday night, like around 10 p.m. for a couple hours, and I'm gonna go on for like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna try a couple jokes in
And you will
Espanol.
do all the 5 minutes Spanish?
No, no, no. I think I'll do.
I was like, what?
I think I'll try maybe 1 minute in Espanol. So
Nice. And
I
is
tell
it?
you, my Espanol is
I was gonna say, how
I
do you
studied
gonna?
I studied Espanol 9th, 10th, 11th, maybe 12th grade, and I hardly know anything, And then, but I really do want to
I'll do
learn,
that. Yeah.
more languages. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do like one or two jokes, so maybe 30 seconds in Espanol,
Nice. Nice.
So because I know a little bit, just from living in the U.S., you pick up some
Yeah.
Spanish, and from soccer was my main game for years, so I pick up a little bit of Espanol there. But yeah, I do want to. I do want to learn it and
Yeah, we'll
certainly
see
understand
stand
it
up.
better
Yeah.
too. You know.
Yeah, and do some stand up in Spanish. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
great. When American comics do something in Spanish, it's more celebrated than we do it in English. No, I'm kidding.
Well, again, no, but again, that's America. That's the
Yeah.
Americans don't appreciate that at all. It's like
Yeah,
you
when I
know
do shows, like, oh, you speak well.
Yeah, right. No, but
That's
it's
it.
like, America's very spoiled in a sense, and they don't even know it. And I'll
Yeah.
I'll include any native English speaking country because English has become sort of like a main second language throughout
Yeah.
much of the world, and so but I mean, Spanish is a really popular language throughout the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
But as far as a second language, I think English is probably the biggest second language.
Yeah.
Americans are really spoiled because they can go to other places,
And
and
speak. Yeah.
many places are, especially like young people under 30, are gonna know English. So
Yeah. You basically, if you know English, you can go anywhere.
yeah,
And that was one of the things that my parents always told me about learning English. But I actually learned English because of Michael Jackson, which is weird. I had
just
a,
from
like a little,
just from listening to his
no,
music.
no, I had the lyrics and
Uh-huh.
I wanted to learn what
Yeah,
he was saying, and I asked my
right.
parents when I was 9 years old to
Gotcha. Yeah.
get me.
Yeah, no, I mean
I
our
mean, yeah,
entertainment, it's I was talking to some people like in Italy, like of the European countries, their English is not very good in general.
yeah,
Like in Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, it's like perfect,
yeah,
and some of that is because in Italy, when they show TV shows there, they're not subtitled. They're
okay,
when they put the American shows on TV in Italy, they're dubbed. They're not
yeah.
subtitled. Where in some other countries they'll be subtitled. So if you're watching a show, you're gonna pick stuff up.
Yes, yes. I actually studied when I was like 9 to 12, but I think what got me better or whatever, like learning more, was just watching American shows, like watching
Yeah,
Friends, watching
right,
all of that, 30 Rock, watching
right.
30 Rock
Now imagine if those
with the
shows were
subtitles.
shown only in Espanol, then you wouldn't
Yeah,
be learning
yeah,
English as much. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
which has
that is
been
another thing that um, Americans are spoiled because
yeah.
um,
I mean,
but
I would say lucky.
in a way it's
Yeah,
not as good because if you're lazy, that's good. But if you're not lazy, it's not as good because so many Americans don't learn another language,
yeah,
and I think the more languages you know, the better.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah, yeah. I
It
agree with
opens
you.
up your world.
Yeah, like my brother, he lives in Germany. He speaks German, Italian, Spanish, and English. And I'm like, fuck, wow, that's amazing. And it
Yeah,
gives you a better view because I just know, English, Spanish, a little bit of French, but you get like things from different perspectives. Like the way you organize your thoughts
sure.
dictates it's dictated in a way by the language you speak and the way you speak. So I think that opens up a lot of things.
Right.
That,
And I've also noticed, some countries and languages will have a word that means something
yeah,
that another country doesn't have a word for. And it might be a full sentence.
yeah,
And then some languages will have one word that defines that whole sentence, and you're like, "Oh, that's pretty fucking cool. That's a good word."
Yeah.
We don't have a word for that. So that shit's cool too.
yeah. Like
Anyways,
stand
man,
up.
thanks so much.
Thank you
Much
very
love.
much, man. Thank you. And yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you
I'll
again.
talk to you soon, man. We'll do it again.
Definitely, man.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.